NASM is giving you free courses. That's right, free courses each month just for being part of the NASM family. Learn about everything ranging from nutrition to strength, weight loss to stress relief, and everything in between. Click the link in the bio for information and to claim your free course before they're gone.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Random Fit. I am Wendy Batts, and I am here with Ken Miller, my friend as well as colleague. And Mr. Miller, how are you today?
I am great. Could be better. How are you?
Dude, today's been beautiful outside. It's a good day. You know, husband's in a good mood, kids in a good mood. life is going well here in Atlanta today. So.
Yeah. Nice. It always helps when your spouse, significant other are in a good mood, not to mention the 4-year-old.
Yes, especially when I'm like, hey, I'm going to peace out for a little bit. You guys be quiet. See ya. But how are things in California?
Well, it is a nice mid-70s day, but things are good. Things are getting better as the weather gets better and as we open up and more people are coming in to work out. So the fitness industry is on the rebound, I will say, at least from my perspective, it is. So
fantastic.
No complaints. Yeah.
Hey, that's always good. When we've got complaints, we're going to have to, call it a day and start over. So,
exactly.
But today's episode, we are going to talk about having no time and really trying to figure out what are some really good exercises that someone can do in a time crunch. And so when we talk about this, it's no time, no problem. I think I know for myself, there's probably 5 quick hit exercises that I tell my clients that, hey, I want to show you how to do this. Make sure you can execute this on your own. And whenever you say you have like 5 minutes, I want you to drop down and do these on your own, because these are things that are going to really benefit you. And I know that you also had some written down as well.
Yeah, and it's funny when we compare notes. We're not too far apart, but I can't wait to hear why you think yours is, I would say more important than mine. But
well, I'm going to be very honest with you. I wrote down some exercises, and then when I went to go grab them, I grabbed my grocery list. So I'm going off of memory here. So. So when I say these are ones that I usually go to, just know that I don't have these written down. These are my true go-tos. So just
okay. Oh, wow. Okay. All right. I overthink my selection then, because it's like I'd have to think, okay, no, that'd be good for this situation. Well, that would be better for that situation. So, all right.
When we think about this, I want to when we say time crunch, it's not just when you're traveling, because I know, Ken, you and I are both traveling more now, and our time really is limited in between different things that we have, scheduled for the day. And so we don't get a lot of time to work out. And especially for me being a female, if I want my hair done and I want to look cute when I go out or something like that, I don't want to get all hot and sweaty and do a full workout because I don't have the time. However, I can kind of hit, do a few things here, a few things there, and, then kind of runs off and then move on with my day. But I know that's a big one that my clients say, well, I'm traveling so much and I can't fit it in. And I think after this, they're going to realize there really are no excuses.
No. And it is about eking little bits of the day to where you can move and you can, open some things up, because you kind of have to give your clients that think that, oh, if I don't get an hour in, I'm really not getting what I need to do, get what I need to get out of a workout. But no, if anything, it's the opposite, little bits and, 5 to 10 minutes, few times a day, it's better than nothing. But, it also breaks the stigma of having 1 hour, right? 1 hour. If I don't get it, it's not worth doing. So little bits and pieces will make a world of difference in how you feel and how, how your body's going to respond over time.
Every little bit counts. And that's what I tell people. But I will say this, I was on a call with a client the other day, and he had just bought one of the Venom back. I don't know if you guys know what that is, but it's like this back wrap that you turn it on and it vibrates and it makes this noise, and it really pretty much brings heat into that area.
Yeah.
And we were on a call, and we were on a like professional call with a lot of really top CEOs, and you hear this zzz in the background, and you've got this vibration thing going on. Do not think that that would be acceptable. You know, when you're trying to fit things in, you know, make sure that if you're going to foam roll, that you're not going to make weird noises, because that gets really uncomfortable. However, if you're not on Zoom and you're on a call, put in your AirPods or something like that, grab your foam roller and roll or stretch, do something, but just get moving. Move, people.
Move. Yeah. And I think when you say move, I like to promote encourage blood flow, like you're saying. Yeah. If you're on a Zoom call to where you can black out your screen and you can mute, I've gotten full workouts in on calls. No offense, Wendy, because it was a couple calls you and I have been on together.
It gets a little creepy when you're like, and then
I think I'm like, that's a great point, Wendy. Hold on, I got to get back to my set. No, but it is about, you know, now you can get on there, like you said, like you put your laptop on the floor and you can put a foam roller on the ground and, you know, get your calves, get your hamstrings, get your quads, get your lats, you know, 30 seconds on 6 different body parts. You have 3 minutes, and then you can get back to being professional, you know, quote unquote professional, when it comes to, you know, conference calls that are on the phone, or if you're on a blacked out screen for your Zoom or your, you know, video conference call. But from that vantage point, I mean, just improve blood flow. So exercise, as we're going to talk about them, you know, is one thing, but I just like to improve blood flow. So like you said, hey, if you can get on a foam roller, or even get out your Volts, or like you mentioned the Venom, the low back Venom. So anything that improves blood flow for a short amount of time, whenever you can eke that into your day, it's always the better choice than doing nothing.
And I have to get better at that too, because I am on calls all the time, or you know, obviously I can't do it during a podcast. That'd be a little weird, but you know, there are times where I'm sure I could fit it in, where I'm like, oh my goodness, I went the whole day and I didn't do anything, and it's my own fault. And so I think, you know, taking ownership of it, realizing that we're all human, and it doesn't have to be done every single day, but a little bit does add up to a lot. And doing a little bit of nothing then leads to a little bit or a lot of nothing. Doing what a little bit of something leads to, is that Rick's thing, a little bit of something leads to a whole lot of something else. I don't know. I always ruin that.
A little bit of something is better, a whole lot of nothing.
That's it. See, I knew I would ruin that, but
Thanks,
but you get it. Yeah, Rick Ritchie, we'll give him credit for that. So, but you know, with kind of getting back on point, I keep going off, sorry. But if I had to say one exercise that I do with or have my clients do often, and again, I mean, keep in mind assessments and, you know, safety and all that stuff is always going to be taken into consideration. But if I know that the client's moving fairly well, we're still working on some stuff. But one of the ones that I really like to have someone do in their hotel room is something simple, such as a lunge to balance. And then they have to go into a bicep curl to an overhead press. So they're getting their quads, they're getting their glutes, they're working on their foot and ankle balance. They are working their core by making sure they can stand up and hold that position. They're working their biceps with the curl, and they're working their shoulder complex with the overhead press. So to me, that is a multi-joint, quick exercise that they did slow and controlled and really focused on their form. They're getting a lot of bang for their buck. And so that's one of my go-tos. And of course, you can lunge in different directions because we move in different directions. But that would be pretty much my number one go-to.
Well, now you're stealing my thunder a little bit, because I also picked a lunge. But I have included with that lunge arm reaches. So let's just say you take a side lunge, and now I rotate my shoulders over that lunging leg. So if I lunge to the left, and then I rotate my shoulders and reach to the left, now I'm adding a little bit of rotation, or those that are familiar with the multiplanar universe, you know, now we add a transverse plane reach. So that way, like you said, Wendy, you're getting the hips, you're getting the thighs, and now we're also getting a little bit of rotation, which incorporates the core. And again, you're getting a good stretch to that whole, you know, that posterior and the anterior oblique systems as you lunge and rotate. And to kind of tack onto what you said, you know, when you come back, add that balance in there. I didn't have that, but I will ride on your coattail and say, whatever, you can lunge for, like you said, Wendy, you can lunge in different directions. You lunge forward and rotate. You can lunge to the side and rotate. You can even take a reverse lunge or a backward lunge and rotate, because again, if we're fixed, if in a position to where we're in front of our computer or tablet or our phone all day, everything is flexed forward. But now if we're keeping our chest up and we are turning our shoulders, we're gonna get muscles and fascia and all that connective tissue to stretch, and we're going to stimulate those receptors, and it's going to tell the brain, I'll say, oh, you guys are still around. Okay, well, I'll keep you in mind the next time it comes to having you guys do something. But I like the lunges as well, because you get your hips, you get your foot and ankle to wake up. And again, the bottom of the feet, a lot of us don't realize that the bottom of your feet is one of the most proprioceptively enriched areas of the body. So you have a lot of receptors under your foot that they don't get a lot of stimulus when you're wearing shoes, when you're wearing business professional, footwear, where it's hard and it's solid and it doesn't give your foot a lot of opportunity to move. So balance is a great way to complement that lunge. So I like it. So I'm gonna piggyback off of you and add the balance.
Yeah, and I think, quote me if I'm, tell me if I'm wrong, but I think there's 30 muscles in the foot. So when we talk about balance, yeah, just go with it. I think I'm
right. There's a lot,
but when you think about the foot itself, to your point, super important. Obviously, it's going to help us if we've got really good arch alignment. It's going to help with our kinetic chain, which is just basically our posture and how we move. So super important. I think balance is very underrated. It needs to be utilized way more than it is. And those of you guys that are joining us, Ken and I are talking about some exercises that are our favorite exercises that we suggest to our clients as well as do ourselves when we're in a time crunch. And so far, I did a lunge to balance, to curl, to press, and you did a lunge to now added balance into arm reaches in different directions.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep. And then I would say probably my number 2 would require some piece of cable or tubing or something that actually you could row back with. But I am a huge fan of the squat to row. And the reason being, same thing, I'm working the big muscle groups as well as working my back, because I know even myself or with a majority of my clients, we have rounded shoulders and forward head. And so therefore I'm really trying to strengthen muscles that are often weak. And, and everyone's glutes need it, because you want to have a good butt, especially coming up this summer. But we noticed that the butt's been on vacation because we've been sitting on it so much. So we're going to get up and try to fire that bad boy, as well as, trying to get, really good alignment and integrate, again, multiple joints and get everything to work in sequence with each other, because, it's a fun exercise to do. It's easy to do, but you would squat down, stand up, and row back. Or you could squat down, stay down, and row, or alternate your rows. And if you have good balance and you are looking for something that's a little more challenging, then you could easily go into a single leg squat to a 1-arm row. And I would suggest, if you want to try that at home and you haven't done it, then if you're standing on your right leg, it would be in your left hand. And start with the contralateral movement, because we walk that way, meaning when your left foot's forward, your right arm's forward, and you're walking, like you don't walk same arm, same leg. So you might as well train like you live. And so start that way. And it is a incredible exercise. One of my favorites. I love it. So that would be my number 2.
That's a good one. But I will challenge your number 2.
Bring it, big boy.
With a push-up with rotation.
Okay, well, so I would have that one too, just so you know. But go ahead.
All right. So with a you can tell I'm kind of big on rotation, right? But push-up with rotation, because here's the thing. When it comes to upper body strength, what do a lot of people complain about? As far as where they're lacking strength, it's upper body strength. And one easy exercise to do, it's body weight, which means that there's no equipment. So that's one thing, right? It's good upper body strengthening exercise that you can do anywhere. Just, you just need enough space for you to go face down, bring your body to the floor, and then push yourself up. But this little twist when we say push up with rotation is you're going to, as you push up, You're now going to lift one of your arms up off the ground, and you're going to reach towards the ceiling. So if you're just listening to us, you're just going to lower your body as you would any other push-up, lower it down, push it back up, but then you're going to rotate your trunk, keep your feet in the same position they were, and you're just going to rotate your spine and your trunk as you reach up one arm towards the ceiling, and then with control, lower it back down, and then you would alternate sides. And the one good thing about that in addition to what benefits that push-ups gives you, is the fact that now as you're rotating towards the ceiling, that one arm that's on the ground, you are going to really work on some shoulder stability in a dynamic position, which means now all of my upper body is going to be resting on and dependent on the stability of that shoulder. So there has to be some requisite shoulder stability before you do something like that, but how much you rotate is going to be up to you. Variation of that is, you don't always have to do a push-up from the floor. As you mentioned, Wendy, there's opportunities for us to travel now and be on the road. So if going straight onto the floor is too challenging, I can put my hands on the couch or the ottoman or the side of the bed. It elevates me, which takes some of the level of work down, so the intensity is lower. Hands on the counter. So you can do push-ups from any position as long as you can find a elevated platform. But the rotation is a definite add-on, just from the standpoint that, hey, we're gonna, anytime you can cheat in a little bit more work or a little bit more stability, especially through the shoulder, hey, have at it.
Yeah, and as soon as you tell me to do a push-up, I'm going to crawl in the bed under the covers and take a nap and be like, oh yeah, totally, I'll do those later. So thanks for playing. But I did have those on my program as well, because there's so many different variations that you could do. To your point, you talked about some great different positionings, and as you elevate yourself, it makes the push-up easier. Or you could be on your knees. However, I don't want to do them on my knees. I would rather do your suggestions. But yes, great call. Another one of my favorites is we got to work the hamstrings, got to work the glutes. So I like to do a single leg Romanian deadlift with a curl to press, or if I already did that in my lunges, I would do a single leg Romanian deadlift with a PNF reach, which is basically like you were talking about, taking my one arm elbow straight and then just reaching to the opposite side of my body. And so therefore it's safer because it's not going necessarily overhead. So with a client that has impingement, or if you have impingement, going overhead sometimes can be aggravating. And so if you think about an X, if you just take your arm and make one side of the X, that would be, quote, the PNF reach. And, you can go nice and slowly, come up, do your hamstring, so you're going down, you're coming up, squeezing your glute and then reaching. So it is another multi-joint exercise, but you're getting more bang for your buck, literally, when you're doing this, because you are getting a lot of major, areas that are often, again, weak in multiple people. And this was a big one for me because I'm often weak in this area myself. So
you and me both. It's that's a good one, and I will meet your compound movement there and throw out there the world's greatest.
Oh, now, that one's a good one. Nice call.
There's and both of you and I are nodding, going, oh yeah, that's a good one. For me, the way I would apply this, or for myself, is a lot of times just when I'm waking up and I feel a little bit stiff in the back or the hips or anything like that, if I didn't sleep well that night, this is one of those where I'll roll out of bed, and right next to the bed, I'll just go ahead and get into position and start having at it. But what this exercise is you're going to go into a deep lunge position. And Wendy, this is a pretty, unless you have a visual, it is something that can be pretty detailed in explanation. But you get into a deep lunge, you put one hand on the ground, so one foot is lunged up all the way to your hand height. The other leg is extended back, and you are just going to reach again with the
There's your rotations.
I got 3 in a row. I'm batting 1,000 with the rotations, but I'm going to reach down and I'm going to reach up. So one of the things I like to do is I'll reach down with my elbow to the floor and then I'll reach up to the sky with both feet planted and one hand planted, and I'm going to rotate towards that forward lunging leg. So if my right foot is planted up by my hand, the level of my hand and my shoulder, then I'm just going to go ahead and rotate, and I'll just get 10 on each side. And not only do I get the trunk rotation, but I also get the opportunity to open up the hip. So that's, in its simplest explanation, trunk rotation, shoulder stability, opening up the hips. So you get those three all in one movement. I can see why they call it the world's greatest.
Yes. And then I often, on the way up, I'll have them bring their torso up so they get more of a hip flexor as well, and a little different area before they stand up and do the opposing side. So there you go.
Always one-upping.
Somebody's got to do it. So why not me?
Oh, man.
Let's be real here. That's my job. I am the female. It's my job to always be correct. So I just want to throw that out there.
Keep me humble. I thought I was humble, but
now
I know I have to be.
Well, just for you guys that are joining us, we are talking about exercises in a time crunch that Ken and I both either do on our own or suggest to our clients, and the reasons why we suggest them and why we like them. I'm Wendy Batts, and I'm here with Ken Miller. And the next exercise, you have something to say?
Go ahead.
The next exercise that I like, and I'm trying to remember my list here, I would probably have to say I would need, again, a piece of tubing or something to provide a little bit of resistance. But I like either the half kneeling or have almost a quarter of a half kneel rotation. And so there's my rotation with the cable. So basically you would get into the 90-90, almost like the hip flexor stretch is the positioning. And, from that point, if I had, let's say my right knee was down and my left leg was forward. So again, they're both making 90 degrees. I would take the cable on the right side and I would rotate up and try to face the opposing direction, really squeezing through the glute as well as the core. I think it's a phenomenal core exercise. I'm getting a little bit of a stretch, a little bit of an activation, and a lot of rotation in core. So I'm working my obliques and my shoulders at the same time. So I love that one. And if somebody can't get on the ground, you could always go into something as simple as even the Palloff press or the anti-rotation or even the cable rotation if standing. So I like those, especially very core specific and core based. And I know that they're very, very challenging when done correctly. And, I just like them. So I put them on there.
Well, there's a lot to like about that one.
Yes.
Now, I will say, okay, so my first exercise I'm going to put out there that requires a little bitty piece of equipment called a mini band is what we call tube walking.
Love those.
Yeah. So with that, I'm sorry, were you saying something?
No.
But what I like about that is that, one, there's a lot of variations of where you can put the band. So you can put the band above the knee, across right top of the ankles, right above the ankles, or across your midfoot. And the directions, you can go right, you can go left, and you can go backwards, performing the tube walking. What I really like about it, you're now moving in space, right? Versus the other recommendations that I've made is you're basically stationary in your one spot. But now with tube walking, you can go from your posture and positioning. You're going to start off with your feet hip width apart. You're going to step out to now where your feet are now shoulder width apart, and you're going to slowly do a lateral or a sideways walk to your right, maybe 10 paces, and then to your left 10 paces. Or you can just be stationary and just have one foot go out and come back, go out and come back. But it's a great glute activation, but especially the glute medius. That's more the glute that's facing on the outer side of your hip, which we do tend to get weak in that region of the body. So when you do a lateral tube walking, you're going to emphasize a muscle that needs a lot of attention anyway, traditionally, when it comes to clients that we'll typically work with. But as you're walking in space, if you're doing it right, you're keeping your shoulders level, you're keeping your hips level, and that in and of itself is working on a certain level of core stability. So as you're walking, you're keeping your hip, knees, and toes in line, you're keeping your shoulders level, and your hips level. So it looks almost like you're floating across the room, right and left. And from that perspective, yeah, you're now moving in space using this mini band. So, and the mini bands you can vary, heavy resistance, medium, and light resistance. So based on your level of comfort and strength, this is one exercise that you can do. It doesn't require a whole lot of space, but it gives you an opportunity to use space if you have it available to you.
And I am going to throw this out there. So I do tube walking and bridges with every one of my clients, and I don't care the phase or anything like that because of exactly what you said. I want the outer hip and the muscles, especially the glutes, to fire. Mm-hmm. I find those two exercises phenomenal. And to me, I use those as activation. But I am going to say your explanation of how to do the lateral tube walking is so spot on, because I see the crazy teapots where like the head's moving, the body follows later, or like the Michael Jackson slide, like on the opposing leg. So like if you step out to the left, the right one like comes right up to it. It's like, don't do that. That is wrong. And then it's just bad. So I think you literally spot on with how to do it. You should float, not slide. So
yeah, you don't like doing the thriller.
Woohoo! So, no.
It's going across the screen.
All right, last one for me, because I know that we could do these all day. But mine would require you to have some kind of good foundation of cardio as well as strength. So I am going to say that up front. But if you've listened to any of my webinars in the past, one of my all-time favorite exercises to do would be leg circuits. And leg circuits is basically 4 exercises. So I am kind of cheating here, but 4 exercises done as fast as someone can control without rest until you're complete. And so the 4 exercises that I usually do in a circuit would be alternating leg lunges, again, as fast as someone can control, up to 20, so 10 on each leg. As soon as they're done with that, they immediately go into they start with prisoner squats. Prisoner squats for 20. Then they do the alternating lunges. Then they do power step ups. So again, 10 on each leg, so 20 total. So 20 prisoner squats, 20 lunges, 20 power step ups, and then they do 10 tuck jumps. Now, I will say if you are on like the 13th or 12th floor in a hotel and you start banging around, people are going to think you've lost your mind. However, these are really fun to do at home. It's a great way to increase your heart rate. You're getting all your lower body muscles as well as your core activated. And it's really, really challenging. And so, and then you'll take a break and then repeat that 2 to 3 different times. And of course, you could also do all 3 planes of motion. However, if you do these right, it's 20, 20, 20, 10, and they are fun. I have all my athletes do it. They hate me, but that's why they come back. And, I like them myself.
Yeah. So who can hate you, Wendy?
Oh, during that hour, I don't need them to like me, but as long as they keep coming back, it's all good.
Well, I thought in the beginning of this podcast, we were talking about things you can do and not have, get too sweaty. I think after that one circuit of that.
Well, that would be in a hotel room when I'm short for time. So keep that in mind too. So,
all right. So my last pick is a ground to stand. And I'll just take the general approach of a ground to stand. So basically it's just that. You're starting on the ground and you get up
and stand
off the ground and stand. And it's versus the world's greatest, where you can take that however you want. But ground to stand, let's say as an example, you can start off on your back, which means you're going to start off on your back, body's nice and straight. You'd have to roll over and then stand up. As somebody who's first starting this, let them use whatever resources they have available, meaning like they can use their hands to stand up. Now, to progress somebody, I might go ahead and say, use the hands as little as possible. So now they have to roll over without having to push themselves over. So they have to roll over. They have to use plenty of core and plenty of trunk rotation in there. Again, rotation. And then they have to do a sit-up without using their hands. And then they have to get themselves into a upright position, maybe a half kneeling position, to where now they're poised to stand up from there. And then the next half of the battle is getting themselves on the floor without dropping or collapsing onto the floor without their hands or minimal use of their hands. So the progression there being using your hands and then minimal use of hands and then no hands. And that's how I would start somebody off from a ground to stand concept. And then there's variations of it, right? You can go from a side plank or a plank position to a standing position, and then coming back down, get into a plank position you can even add a 3 or 4 second count and then repeat the motion. So a ground to stand, that's, changing elevation. It's not something that a lot of people do a whole lot during the day, but it is a butt kicker once you get 10 of them in there.
I have a client do that. Again, one of my virtual clients that I see, and his big thing was he couldn't get off the ground. And he's not old.
Yeah.
I mean, he's 67. Like, he's very active, plays golf all the time. Yeah, totally young. Especially as I get older, 6, 7's nothing. But the big thing for him was, he's got grandkids, and so he'd get on the floor and then he'd look like an old man getting up, and he's like, I don't want that. And we have been working on that. And the big thing is he gets almost up and then he plops. He literally falls on his butt and it goes plop. And I'm like, dude, do it again. And he's like, I can't do it. I just can't do it. And so we work on it. That is how we end our session every single time. And he's progressively gotten better. He's still not there yet, but he can see how much he's how much he's advancing in this movement. But I mean, it does take a lot of time. Plus, as someone gets older, this is super important. This is an activity of daily living. It is an important part of life. And I will second that to be a very good ending exercise. And I guess my key takeaways, if you were going to ask, is find exercises that involve multiple joints and incorporates a lot of different body movements if you're short on time, because every movement matters and every movement's going to help you get stronger, move better, as long as you're moving with quality movements and not just worrying about quantity. And then also think about your spacing, your time, but there should be no excuses. There are always certain things that you can do. Even if you do one exercise at a time throughout the day, something is better than nothing.
Right. And I'll tag on to that and say, find something you like. Like, if you don't like doing ground to stands, just save it for when your trainer, or if you're Wendy's clients, save it for the end of your session when she makes you do it. So I'll actually do ground to stands in the beginning, after they've done their core and their mobility work. I'll have them do 10 ground to stands, and then I'll go get a cup of coffee, and then I'll come back. By the time I'm back, they're done. But find something you like. And if you do that one motion, 5 times a day, that's fine. It's better than doing no motions, 0 times a day, I guess. But from that perspective, find something you like, and then find something that you somewhat like, but you're getting better at it. So it's a little encouraging, so you'll do it more. But, find a variation that you can do that, isn't too exhaustive, and something that, if you get 5 of them, fine. You don't have to do 10, but just do something. So yes. I love it, Wendy. I love this one. This is a good one. I think we need to, maybe come up with a B list or something of exercises. But I mean, because I just did
I forgot my list, so yeah.
Yeah, but I just kept writing. I was like, okay, well, what's the top 5 of my list? So anyway, well, maybe we'll do it. So if you guys want to stay tuned for our B list of exercises, like, follow, subscribe, download. We do appreciate you spending your time with us and listening to this episode of Random Fit on No Time, No Problem. So we look forward to seeing you guys and you hearing us next time. But until then, take care and be well.